All right. Good morning, boys and girls. Hey, listen, thank you for joining us on Faith Your Fears Friday. Hey, this is your playground guide here in the Childlike Faith Park in the Fun Life community. And so I'm super excited today with you guys. And so, hey, listen, before we even get started, I'm going to go ahead and get all of the preliminaries out of the way. Okay. So, listen, if you like what we're doing, if you like the information that we're sharing with you guys, hey, listen, let's connect right here, johnnyjuan.com. Go on there. We'll be able to connect on every single platform that I am a part of, whether it's Spotify, whether it's on the podcast, whether it's on YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it, we'll be able to connect, guys. And as always, please go ahead, comment, like, share. We want your engagement. I'm going to keep an eye on the comments because our guest today is going to be bringing some heat. I can't wait for him to be able to come in and share with you what he's been sharing with me. And as always, guys, listen, we still have one, maybe two slots left, depending on what we're going to be doing right here, funlifecoaching.com. Let's go ahead and get you registered. Go to the book a call section, and we're going to be able to set some time aside for you guys. And as always, this whole Fun Life community, guys, it's all powered by this guy right here, right? Legendary speaker, trainer, motivator, Mr. Zig Ziglar, and Ziglar Legacy Certification Program. So, and that's where I met Dave Kauffman. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on the stage. That's where we met, through Ziglar Legacy. And I'm telling you, ever since we've met, I've been following him on social media, and he is just amazing. And wait till he shares with you guys today about faithing your fears. But first, let's get to know our guest. Dave, welcome to the stage.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Hey, good morning. Now, you're in Florida, correct?
Yes, sir. Sarasota, Florida. I live where people vacation.
Fantastic, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Dave. Introduce yourself to what I call in the Cool Kids Club.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, I love what you're doing. I've been watching you. I'm seeing you grow, and I'm so impressed with who you're becoming and what you're doing. But I grew up in Georgia. I grew up in a really small town in Georgia. As a farm boy, I grew up in the Amish and Mennonite world. And so I should have sent you a picture of when I was 13 years old, wearing suspenders and got the bowl cut and everything. I'll text it to you afterwards. But that's how I grew up. And so at age 21, I decided that I didn't want to be a farmer or do things that typically the Mennonites and Amish would normally do. So I got into sales, and that's where I learned about Zig Ziglar. And that's kind of the launching pad of my career was sales. And so, yeah, I'm just honored to be here, honored to know you.
Oh, man, thank you so much. You're too kind. Now you've got some, like a lot of our likes align with everything, business owner. But I think probably one of your highest deals that I see, you're a pilot.
Yeah,
That,
absolutely.
that
So
is so
there
awesome, man.
was there was three things that I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to be a pilot, an auctioneer, and a veterinarian. And I'm all three except one. I'm not a veterinarian. So yeah, I got my pilot's license
Not
when I
yet,
was
huh?
21. Not yet, no. But I got my pilot's license when I was 21 on my 21st birthday. And fun story, on the way back from the airport, from having my license in my hand, I was so excited that I went 60 miles an hour through a school zone. And all of a sudden I looked behind me, and there were some blue lights behind me, and I stopped, pulled over, and the officer said, "Son, why are you going so fast?" And I said, "Well, sir, it's really because I'm super excited. Like, I just wasn't thinking." He said, "What are you excited about?" And I said, "I just got my pilot's license." And I showed it to him. He says, "Well, son, congratulations." And I said, "Thank you, sir." And he said, "Let me ask you a question. Does the FAA have really strict rules about how to fly airplanes and what you can do and what you can't do?" And I said, "Oh, yes, sir, they do." And he said, "And so does the DOT. Here's your ticket." Come on, man. I walked right into it.
He
Oh,
knew how to handle it, huh?
he did. Yeah.
Yeah, I see on here. I see on here you're also a husband, author of 4 books, voted top 100 keynote speaker, master disc trainer, one of 10 in the world. Man, that is amazing. That's something I really, really love talking about. A certified CPE, Cathcart Institute. Jim, Cathcart is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Your client list is just impressive, man. How does that even come about? I mean, how does an individual go to do all this kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's a question I ask myself almost every morning. How does an eighth grade educated Amish farm boy from Georgia wake up in Sarasota, Florida, and get to hop in his plane and go to a client, train, teach, impact the world, and do what I do? And number one, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. God. That's number one. He has blessed me. He has given me the ability to do what I do, and I want to give him all the glory and honor up front. First of all, it's him. Number two, the way it started was I started a company in 2008. So I don't know if you remember what happened in 2008, but the economy was like beginning to tank. Right. And so I started a maid service, a high-end residential maid service, because I didn't know any better, and still own that company today, and just achieved some phenomenal growth and recognition in our area. We won top cleaning service for 10 years in a row, 35 plus employees, and just became kind of the top in that industry. And through that, people started calling me and saying, hey, you've been in business for 2 years and have 35 employees. I've been in business for 35 years and have 2 employees. Can you help me in my business? And I wasn't even thinking of coaching and speaking and impacting that way. So I said no. My plan, Johnny, was to start a plethora of businesses under the same name. Got a maid, got a plumber, got an electrician, got a taxi, and I started some of those companies.
Yeah.
And it just people kept calling, kept asking me to come in and coach them, and I said finally I got tired of people asking me, and I said, okay, yeah, I'll coach you, and so I started my coaching business. And so that's kind of how it all started, just through having success in a business.
Man, that is so awesome. We were at a networking event yesterday with some new entrepreneurs, some new business owners, and we were just talking to them about scaling their business and growing their business. And it's amazing how when you have somebody like yourself who has gone through the trials and the errors and the pitfalls and all the mistakes, you're able to come alongside somebody else and say, hey, watch out for that. Hey, don't step there. Hey, and you're able to collapse their learning curve. And that's what I love about the coaching. That's what I love about the training. That is just amazing.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'll tell you what, one of the things that we talk about here on Faith Your Fears Friday is really just allowing that childlike faith that is inside. I believe it's inside every single one of us to be able to come out almost unapologetically and live out your childhood dreams in this playground that we call life. And I tell everybody, if you think this playground is awesome, wait till we get to that playground in the sky,
Yeah.
baby. Woo!
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
the streets of gold, and I believe there's a golden slide up there waiting for us, man.
Oh yeah.
So, man,
Yeah.
and I can tell your faith is a big part of your business, man. Tell us a little bit about that part of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I believe faith is super, super important. It's what guides me. It's what keeps me on the rails. Because I have the tendency to, just kind of wonder, and I'm attracted by bright, shiny objects, kind of like you. I'm a high DI type personality on the DISC model of human behavior. And so, faith really kind of keeps me centered and makes sure that I know what is important and keep the main thing the main thing. But all through my journey, coming up through school, I mean, people don't understand this about me, but I remember, like, even in Sunday school at church, they see me as this speaker, as this, dynamic guy. But at Sunday school, when it was time to read the lesson, I would have to count the people and say, okay, I'm verse 10, and I would start reading verse 10 because I would get so nervous about reading in front of people because I had this thing called dyslexic. And so I would literally like see things backwards, and I would just I would sweat bullets, Johnny. I mean, it was so nerve wracking, and I felt like I would never really become anything. And so I really had to faith my fears in doing what I'm doing now. I really had to, because, number one, an Amish Mennonite farm boy is not supposed to be on a stage, in Chicago or wherever I'm headed to next. We're supposed to be, making furniture or farming or doing something like that. And so that was a big thing that I had to overcome. And that was a fear in my life, is, do I have what it takes? And so faith is really important, because what a lot of people don't understand as well, at age 13, I went to my dad and I said, Dad, I feel like I have a calling. I feel like I'm supposed to do something that is not typical of what we normally do. And he says, are you going to be a preacher? And I say, oh, I hope not, because anyway, he said, what do you feel? And I said, I don't know. There's a group of people going this way, and my job is to help them go this way. And he said something very, very wise that day to a 13-year-old son. He says, son, always walk towards that feeling. And he says, when a door opens, walk through it. When it's closed, don't force it open. Wait. And so that's kind of been my whole model. I walk through an open door. If there's an opportunity and I can do it, and the door is open, I walk through it. And because of that, I've had some tremendous experience. I've met some wonderful people. It's amazing. And so I had to face my fears with faith and move forward. And so, probably the biggest test in my life of faith was in COVID. My business was just really starting to ramp up as far as speaking and coaching. And it was almost like we had the perfect shot. We were getting ready to make a 3-pointer, and we were ready to kill it. And all of a sudden COVID comes in. And as you know, the speaking industry stopped. And I remember laying on my couch. I had COVID, and I thought my life was over. I thought, not my physical life, but my business life. I thought my dream of coaching and speaking and impacting, people was over. And I was laying on my couch sick with COVID, and God gave me what I call the FAP principle. And if you can put that up, I created this while I was very, very sick on the couch. And this is what I call the FAP principle. So hopefully your viewers can see that. I see it here. So there's 2 F words that we can choose to live by. We can either live by faith, or we can either live by fear. Now, both of them are God-given emotions, or fear is a good thing. If you're jogging in, out west in the woods, and you see a grizzly bear, fear is there to keep you alive. Fear is there to keep you from moving forward. So fear is a good thing. Fear is a God-given emotion. But faith is also a God-given, or it's a good thing that God wants us to exercise. And so you can either choose to operate out of fear or faith. And as I was laying on my couch sick with COVID, thinking my business career was over, I was starting down the path of fear. And fear always leads to anxiety. Now, anxiety is a killer. Fear never killed anybody. Anxiety kills people. Fear leads to anxiety. So what happens is, fear is something there to keep you alive, to protect you, to keep you from harming yourself, but it produces, or it can lead to, something called anxiety. And what happens is, we place what has happened in the past, and anxiety says it's probably going to happen again. So we put it in our future, and it affects our present. Anxiety is nothing. Here's the thing, Johnny. I've never heard anybody say, I'm so anxious about yesterday. If you're anxious about something, it has not happened yet. So we've placed some past experiences in our future, and it keeps us right where we are in the present. So anxiety always will lead to paralysis. It paralyzes you. And when you are paralyzed, when you are at a place where you can't move because you're so bound up by anxiety and you're on that path of fear, like fear is to get you to move. That's what fear is. Anxiety's job is to paralyze you. And so when you're paralyzed, guess what you become? You become prey. And I don't mean P-R-A-Y, I mean P-R-E-Y. When you're paralyzed, when you can't move, if you're in a game of basketball and you're going up for the 3 shot and all of a sudden an opponent blocks you and you just hold the ball there and you're paralyzed, you're going to lose that opportunity. You're going to lose that ball. You're going to become a prey and the ball's going to go to the other team. So I started living and thinking about, COVID and my life is over. And I started hearing all those voices from the past that says, Dave, what are you thinking? Why are you doing this coaching thing? Why didn't you just stick with your other businesses? Why don't you start, doing a traditional job? And anxiety started building. And so then I realized I was on the FAP principle. I was on the FAP journey: fear, anxiety, paralysis, and prey. Well, I don't know about you, but I like to move. I like to, when things don't work, I paint it a different color. I like to move to a different location. I like to take a 3 shot from a different part of the court. And I remember thinking, you know what? I'm still in the game. Just because COVID happened, we have this beautiful thing called Zoom, and I can reach millions of people through Zoom. And I started thinking, okay, I got to get out of anxiety. I got to get back to fear, because fear causes you to move. And so I had to move. And so I started transitioning really heavily to Zoom. And some of my largest audiences were in the middle of the shutdown. I mean, I spoke to 4,000 nurses all around the world. I taught them this principle. I taught them DISC. I spoke to about 5,000 school teachers all around the world, and I taught them how to relate and communicate to their class, their students, from a DISC perspective. And so then I thought of, okay, so that's the fear track, and it leads to prey. It leads to, losing out. And I said, what's the other track? I said, well, obviously you have to faith your fears with faith. And so faith is whether you believe or don't believe. Faith is a belief in a positive outcome. Doubt is also a belief. Doubt is a belief in a negative outcome. Right?
Spot on.
So faith leads to another A word, but it's not anxiety, it's anticipation. Faith always causes you to look forward to something. And I remember one of my mentors, Dr. Delatorre McNeil, he's on my wall of gratitude right up here. He says this, he says, you should always be looking forward to something. You should always be looking forward to something. I don't care if it's going out to eat Friday night with your family or with your wife. I don't care if it's going to Australia in September. You should always have something that you look forward to, because anticipation always leads to purpose. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing right now is I can do something fun. So faith leads to anticipation. Anticipation always leads to purpose. And purpose, as you know, is, that's, if you don't know why you're doing something, guess what? You're gonna start getting on that fear track. But purpose is, I want to talk about purpose here, because this is I'm processing the word purpose right now. So, I believe in a business, and this is kind of a bunny trail, but this bunny really needs to be chased. All right. So, yeah, right. So here's the deal. In business, I believe you can know the purpose of your business. I believe that you can definitively say, I'm in business for this purpose. But about your personal life, about you, what is your purpose? All right. So I've never heard anybody teach on this. I'm processing it. I believe we as human beings can kind of get a glimpse of what our purpose is. We can kind of have an idea, but I get really nervous about when a person comes up to me and says, "Oh, I know my purpose. I know my purpose." And here's why. Here's why. Do we really truly understand why God Almighty put us on this earth for? In other words, are we so intelligent and so smart that we know the purpose that God put us here for? I would much rather hear from people that saying, you know what, I'm pursuing my purpose. I have an idea of what it is, but I'm always pursuing my purpose. I always want to learn more about what God wants for me. And did you know in the Bible, there is never a verse that talks about you knowing your purpose. It's always God's purpose for you. Like God has and he reveals it. And so here's the deal. I think it's arrogant. I'm kind of on this hobby horse right now. I think
Go
it's
ahead.
arrogant when a person says, I know my purpose, because that would be knowing the mind of God to its entirety. I think we can understand. I believe part of my purpose is to impact business owners' lives so that they can have more freedom in their life. So I'm going with that. But you know what? Here's a quote that I came up with in studying this. Pursuing your purpose, or no, I forget my own quote. Let me think about this because I wasn't planning on sharing this.
No, you're good. Go
The
ahead.
person you become pursuing your purpose is more important than finding your purpose.
Mhm.
The person you
Yeah,
become pursuing your
absolutely.
purpose is more important than actually finding it. Because let's say that you know your purpose and you're driven by your purpose and you fulfill it. And then what? Then what? Are you just going to sit there and
Yeah.
say, okay, I've fulfilled my purpose. I did it. No, God's bigger than that. God has a
Amen.
bigger purpose than what you will ever know. So let's be humble and let's put ourselves in a posture of, I know it's out there. I want more of it. I'm always going to walk through those open doors, because when you anticipate something, it leads you to your purpose. And I don't know what the entirety of that purpose is, but I know when you find it, when you find a glimpse of it, when you get a hold of it a little bit, guess what you get? You get power.
Boom.
You don't become prey, you become powerful. And a person that is walking towards their purpose is always a powerful person, because it's not them, it's in him, it's him through them. And so faith leads to anticipation, anticipation leads to purpose, and purpose always leads to power. And so I created this and I started teaching it, and during right in the middle of COVID, and this thing went around the world. This thing went all around the world, and I had people, texting me and calling me and emailing me and Facebooking me saying this thing helped them through COVID. It helped them understand that, hey, we have to have faith. We have to look forward to something. We have to, like, instead of just sitting at home cooped up, we have to create something that our kids can anticipate, because that will lead to purpose. And I believe this little infographic has saved the lives of a lot of people throughout the world.
Man, you are spot on. I am trying to pull something up real quick, but let me ask you this, because I mean, two things really fast jump out at me. the fear-based, right? I was coming to work this morning, right? I was coming to the studios, right? Cardinal Financial Studios, for those that follow along, right here, 1512 East Southeast, Loop 323, little commercial. This broadcast today is brought to you by Cardinal Financial, right? Okay, out of the way. I'm coming to work, going down the little street. Here comes a squirrel. That squirrel is darting in front of me. He's got it made. He's got it made. Maybe she, I don't know. Indecision, whatever. Okay, just kidding. Hesitates, stops, and I'm just thinking, there's a truck coming. I'm not gonna move out of the way. I'm going. Dum, dum. Fear, paralyzed. It got anxious, paralyzed, became prey. I mean, couldn't share that any plainly than that.
Yeah.
But the faith part of it, man, the faith part of it, it is insane because it really does. Hang on. It really does allow you, right? That's actually kind of what I love in my life verse that I like to share with people, is that, right, that the God knows the plans He has for you, right? Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in a future, right? Mr. Ziegler always said that if we have hope in the future, right? That's what a lot of people want. People want hope that today is that the future is gonna be better than today. And if you have hope in the future, I think it was Maxwell that said this. He said, if we have hope in the future, that gives us power in the now, right? Power to persist, power to keep going, power to keep putting one foot in front of the other. That's I don't know if you can see it from there, but that's the tortoise and the hare. That is, I think that is the greatest motivational book ever written. Dave, every time I see that, every time I read that book, the turtle wins. Not because of its agility, not because of its speed, but because of its consistent persistency to keep putting one. Direction is so much more important than speed. Now, because you are a master disc trainer, one of only 10 in the world, I want you to tell me or share with the cool kids how those personalities tie into this fat.
Okay. Yeah. And I do want to make out a very important point before I get to that question.
Sure.
Regardless of where you are on the fear track, at any moment, you can get off of it and get on the faith track. At any one of these stages. The best time to do it is fear. Fear causes you to move, but a lot of times fear actually will be so overwhelming that anxiety sets in before we can even move. So the best time to move, the best time when you're in trouble, the best time to move is right when you're in trouble, and move on to the faith track. And so I just want to, regardless if you're paralyzed, turn to faith. Start believing who you are and whose you are. Okay?
There you go.
So that's really important in any time. Okay. So in DISC, every person, so the D's kind of get this idea that we're not scared of anything. I'm a off the charts a high D. I'm a very dominant style person. Just ask my wife. Okay. And then I'm also just as high I, so I'm a DI. I'm a dominant, inspiring type person. It's all the way at the top, asking for more. Okay. So, there's not a lot that scares me. I don't naturally get scared. Like it's just not a lot that scares me. And so we get the kind of, the D's kind of get the idea that, hey, we plow through anything. We're not scared of risk and all of that. But we all have fear. We all have something that we're fearful of. I mean, man, put a spider in front of me and no. I can handle
a spider.
A spider. Yeah. I can handle a snake. I can handle a snake, but I skydive, scuba dive. I do all kinds of fun stuff. And I will tell you this on a deeper level, what really, really scares me is that when I die and I'm leaving and I look back on my table and there's still something on my table that I've never picked up, whether it's an ability, a talent, something that God put on my table, and I'm leaving and I look back and I see, oh man, I wish I would have done that. I wish I'd have used that tool. I wish. That scares me. That's on a very deep emotional type, almost a spiritual level, because I believe when God created you, he put everything on your table that you need to be super duper uber successful. Everything.
Absolutely.
And so, we heard the phrase "don't leave anything on the table," and that's what scares me is I'm going to leave something on the table. So that's what drives me. That's why fun things happen to me. My family says everything fun, everything exciting happens to me, and I said, well, if you would start talking to people and opening up and see life as opportunity, those things would start happening to you as well. So, the D's are much more risk tolerant than, let's say, like an S. The S avoids risk like the plague. They don't like confrontation. They don't like disruption. The D's love it. I mean, think of Donald Trump. He loves to disrupt things. Okay. He's a disruptor by nature. Elon Musk is a disruptor. He looks at and says, it doesn't have to be that way. It could be something different. Why
Why
does it
not?
take? Yeah, why do we have to fly airplanes that take 12 hours to go across the Atlantic to Europe? Why can't we do it in 45 minutes underwater in a bullet train? Right. So the D's kind of get the rap of big things plowing through, non fearful, and the S's are the ones that kind of get the whole thing of, hey, I don't like confrontation, and then the C's also are very cautious. They don't like to try new things. They don't like to experiment. They don't like surprises. They simply want to research it and prove it from a fact-based type thing. And so, the eyes, they're all excitable. And, I'm talking to one right here. The eyes, everybody loves them, but I don't know if that answers your question along with the fear type thing, but we all have
No,
fears. I think the I type, they fear rejection. I think the D types, they fear disrespect. They want people to respect them. They want people to follow them. And then the S types, they fear disagreements and arguments, and the C types, they fear new things as well.
yeah, absolutely. And there's a little image that's been circulating around social media. I've seen it. You've probably seen it before, where real growth, real change is created outside of your comfort zone. But it all starts with an idea that leads to a thought that creates a feeling or an emotion, and then it's that motion that you're taking action on, right? That plan that you start to incorporate, and once you start doing it, it was Tom Hopkins that said, "Do what you fear the most, and the death of fear is certain." But now that action, you do it long enough, it becomes a habit. Once you commit to it, you were kind of speaking to this a little bit earlier, it now becomes a lifestyle, and that lifestyle is now just part of your change. Um,
Yeah,
let
yeah,
me. We Sunday night, my family and I, we have call it the Ortiz Book Club, and we're on the subject of habits. And I came across this one quote, and it was Warren Buffett that said, he was credited with it, so I don't know if it was really him or not, but he said that the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. And so if you're constantly in that fearful mode, right, that piglet personality, right,
yeah,
Winnie the Pooh piglet, oh dear, you're constantly running from everything, as opposed to having the courage, the power to faith it, right?
yeah.
Don't fake it till you make it, faith it till you make it, right?
Oh, I
Greater,
like that.
yeah, greater is he that is in
Yeah,
us than he that
yeah,
is in the world, right? Even the scripture says that with God, all things are possible. So faith it continually. For those of you watching and you're going through a fearful moment in your life, or something that you're not sure of, right? It was Corey Ten Boom who said that never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God. And
yeah,
that sounds like you're actually faithing your fears. And that's why I'm telling these cool kids out here to activate that childlike faith, because when we were children,
yeah. Anything was possible.
Anything. And somewhere along the line, somebody found the delete button on the
Yeah,
F, you eat the U and the N. And when you're out there activating your childlike faith, I kid you not, fun, you'll gamify everything. And what I love about fun is that fun is serious business. People make a killing having fun because now you're having greater impact, greater transformation in the employees that the people that you lead, the people that you motivate, the people that follow you. And before you know it, boom, and you are a classic. I'm so glad to have you on because you're validating and verifying everything that I've been teaching all of these cool kids.
that's awesome. Johnny, everything that you've ever wanted is on the other side of sheer terror. And so you have to go through fear with faith to experience what's on the other side. Think about this. You're on a path, and boy, I mean, the future looks great. It looks amazing. And there's mountains on this side, and there's a deep valley on this side. And you only are on this path and you're enjoying it. And you're so excited about the future. But all of a sudden, a huge boulder comes down and stops in the middle of your path, and there's no way over it. There's no way around it. You have to chip away at it. You have to go through it. And so many people give up on what they were enjoying, on what they were anticipating, because it's too hard to have faith. And they allow that fear, that boulder, to keep them what's experiencing just around the corner. And it could have been whatever.
Yeah.
And so, go through the hard things, embrace the hard things, because on the other side of hard things are great things.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Spot on. Right. We're that was that Jim Collins book, Good to Great. A lot of us are so comfortable with the good that
Yeah.
we're so fearful to go after the great, not realizing that great is just one decision, just one choice, right? To choose to win from
Yeah.
being able to get you there. And I have a little confession to make. They say confession is good for the soul. I almost went with Dale Carnegie. I love Dale Carnegie, right? How to Win Friends, Influence People, a lot of that really good stuff. And one of them is that he says people rarely have fun at anything. People rarely succeed at anything unless they have fun doing so. And that
Right.
was almost a quote that caught me into that deal because like, hey, that's me, that's my guy. But the other quote though, as it pertains to Faith Your Fears Friday, says that inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. And if you've ever seen the movie We Bought a Zoo, right? There's a quote in that movie that says, I think his name is Benjamin McGee. He says that sometimes all you need is 20 seconds of insane courage
Yeah.
to pull it off, to just go out there and do it. Because once you step out on that courage, once you step out on your faith and your confidence and knowing that God's got your back, right? With Him, all things are possible. All of a sudden, you realize, oh, I didn't die.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you literally step into the realm of what once you thought impossible, but now you're like every day you're
Yeah.
seeing it. And that's what I love about having people like you on here, that just simply gives people hope, gives people, right, even the s's. I always say the s's are my people that I really like to follow after because they really have it down. They just
Yeah.
need to have a little bit of faith and a little bit more courage to really
Right.
step out and see what is really in store for them. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, why is it that so many people live in a world of possible? Like, I believe if you can imagine it, you can create a version of it. We live in the world of possible. Why do people try to make possible impossible? While
oh yeah.
some other people, like Elon Musk, he lives in the world of impossible and says, how can I make it possible? I mean, start studying Elon Musk, and he lives in a different mindset than everybody else. And it's
Oh
about, I
yeah,
think he has
totally.
I think he has what, maybe not the Christian faith, but he believes, he has faith in a better future, that he can impact it. And just that. I mean, so imagine how powerful he could become if he had, Christ-like faith. But like he lives in impossible. That's where he moves. He finds the neighborhood of impossible and says, I'm going to move right there and make
Yeah.
it possible. And
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
it boils down to, this is what I've understood. It boils down to, we don't understand who we are. And we don't understand
Mm.
who created us, and we don't understand the fact that he said long time ago, let us create man in our image. So we have the image of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and he gave us creative ability that comes from him. We have no idea what we're capable of. We have no idea.
Oh man, earlier.
I'll start off a talk, by having people raise their hand as high as they can. And they sit there and do like this. And I say, now raise it just a little bit higher. And they go like that. And then I go in and tell them that they're not living to their full potential. They're not. I mean, you're not living to your full potential. I'm not living to my full potential. I promise you, there is more in our tank when we think we're empty than we can ever imagine. And so that's part of my taking people from here to here at 13 years old, is to let them know who they are and whose DNA they have. They have God's DNA. We're created to create. We have, I know as humans, we're limited. I mean, I literally cannot stand flat-footed and jump up to our 10-foot ceiling and land. I can't. That's a limit that I can. Maybe 20 years ago I could have, but not now. Okay. But I promise you, I can create something that will allow me to do that. I promise you, there is a way for me to stand flat-footed and be propelled and land on the. We're unlimited in what we can do, basically.
Man, this is spot on. What you were talking about, limits, and then we on Faith Your Fears Friday. Really, limits are a lot like our fears. They exist only.
Yeah, exactly. And limits, like especially self-imposed limitations, that's nothing but fear. That's nothing but anxiety.
Absolutely.
That's nothing but anxiety. That's I messed up in the past, so I'm not even going to try it because I'll probably mess up now. I mean, that's whacked out. Stop it.
That's one of my greatest. I always tell people that the greatest counseling and coaching session ever caught on video was those two words for counseling: stop it. Stop. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I did. That was amazing. Just stop it.
Stop it. One of the greatest, because I love acronyms, right? Acrostics, however you want to say it, whatever. But one of the greatest acronyms for fear, right? You've heard the face everything and rise, or whatever, run, false evidence appearing real. I like the one that says faithfully eliminating average reality.
Ooh.
Faithfully eliminating average reality. You were talking earlier about people's past and how but sometimes people with the worst pasts end up creating the best futures with a little change in their mindset shift.
That's it. And it's because they embraced the struggle. We talked a little bit about that. We need to look forward to the obstacles because it makes us stronger to go through it. And once you're through it, you have everything that's on the other side of that is opened up. And so we miss out a lot by not being strong, by not embracing the struggle. And, one of my other mentors, Ron Klein, he's the inventor of the magnetic strip on the credit card. He retired from my company about 4 years ago. And he says this, he said, Dave, there's a gift behind every challenge. Go through the challenge until you find that gift. I mean, this is the dude
Mm.
that invented not just the credit card strip, but he changed Wall Street with a little box. You remember seeing traders throwing papers over their head and they're knee deep into papers. His little
Uh-huh.
box, a computer that he invented, did away with all papers on Wall Street. The dude is like, his mind is absolutely crazy,
Yeah. And
like in a
a
good way.
lot of time, no, 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 I get it. But a lot of times it's that one move, that one decision that we're afraid to make that just could be the one.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. Dave, I,
Yep.
I could spend here all day, man. What else? What else you got for us, man? Something. What was the defining moment in your life that said, "I gotta go. I can't live like this. I've got to do this." What was it? I imagine it happened pretty early on.
You mean as far as coaching and speaking and
Hmm.
yeah. So I don't expect you to see this except or read it, but it's a fortune cookie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow.
It says you have the ability to touch the lives of many people, and I got it. I keep it on my desk here. So I was in Destin, Florida, and this is the defining moment of me deciding to go through the whole coaching and the speaking path, to get on that path. I was kind of dabbling in it, but anyhow, I was at a conference, Howard Partridge conference in Destin, Florida, and Tom Ziegler was there, and he comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I'd like to have lunch with you and your wife." And I said, "Perfect. We'll go to a little tiki hut over here and we'll have a hamburger." And so he says this. He says, "My dad passed away, 2 years ago, and he says we're starting this ZLC program, and he says Howard is the first person we talked to, and you're the second person that we tapped on the shoulder." And he says, "We've been watching you, and we'd love for you to represent the legacy of my dad." And I said, "Fantastic, man. That's an honor." He said, "You don't have to give me an answer now, but just think about it and pray about it." And I said, "Okay, so we'll go out. My wife and I will go to dinner tonight." And so across from the resort was a PF Chang's. Well, PF Chang's is one of my favorite Asian restaurants. So my wife and I go there and we talk about it, and we talk about how this will impact our lives, and do we really want to go down this path, and we had decided that we're going to. And so he brings us the check, and he brings us 2 fortune cookies. Mine happens to be this one, and it
Oh.
says, I'll read it again. It says, "You have the ability to touch the lives of many people."
Oh wow.
And so I started crying. I was like, I don't place my future on whatever my fortune cookie says. I don't even like, they're interesting. But when this one happened, I'm like, that's a sign, Jeff Foxworthy, here's your sign. And so my wife and I sat there, just like, I started crying, like, oh my goodness. I mean, we had decided already. This is like a confirmation to do it. And so I called Tom and I said, "We'll do it." And I walked up to him at the conference the next morning and I said, "This is why we're doing it, because of this fortune cookie." And
Wow.
so that's a very special defining moment in my getting off the exit of operating several companies with employees to start coaching, speaking, and really embracing that 100%. So you never know what a fortune cookie how it will change your life.
Wow. Man, that is so awesome. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Dave. You just, it's the little things, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was Maxwell or somebody, I don't know where he got it from, that said that every problem, every challenge, every trial, every difficulty that you encounter has within itself the seed of its own solution. But you gotta be looking for it, right? You have not because you ask not. And I think we really have to up our asking game to make
Yeah.
sure that he is revealing those answers to us, because it's that still small voice that will speak to your spirit and guide you and lead you, right? It says that his word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. And that is exactly what's going on here, man. So
Right.
I can't thank you enough. I typically don't go this long, but man, I've been enjoying it. Like I said, I could go on forever. There's a few. Bob Bodine did take up a little bit more time, but that dude can go 90 miles an
Oh
hour,
yeah.
right? With
Yeah.
gusts up to about 250, 300. And so there's a lot of things that were said today, man. I typically go back, unpack it, and re-listen to it. And sometimes I break stuff down and do a whole nother. Hey, listen, let's get together, group coaching. Let's talk about what was shared on this podcast. So, man, I can't thank you enough. I mean, in parting words, man, I'll let you address the cool kids however you'd like to, and just motivate them, encourage them, give them some inspiration to have a phenomenal phenomenal Faithing Their Fears Friday.
So one of my quotes, and if you know me, you know that I love coming up with quotes. I have a Facebook page dedicated to just my quotes, over 250 original quotes. And I'm gonna close with this. Suppose all it takes for you to create something extraordinary is for you to just simply believe that you were extraordinarily created for that very reason. Just believe.
Mm,
Just have faith.
boom, 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 boom. Dave, how can these people connect with you? How can they find you?
Yeah, all over social media. Connect with me on Facebook. Go to davekaufmanspeaks.com. That's my website. I am doing a live disc level 1 certification August 6 and 7 right here in my office. We have a big conference room over there. We're going to have about 10 people, hopefully. And yeah, people are signing up. davekaufmanspeaks.com. And Facebook, and send up a smoke signal if you have to. I'll come running.
I will definitely tag that here at the bottom of the post here in just a little bit, man. Dave, I
Yeah,
can't thank you enough for coming over here to Childlike Faith Park here in the Childlike Faith podcast in the Fun Life community.
I had fun. I had fun.
Awesome, man. That's really the goal. That's really the goal, right? People rarely succeed at anything unless they have fun in doing so. And I can definitely tell you're having fun in what you're doing, man, and the lives that you're impacting and the lives that you're touching. So thank you so much, Dave. I will definitely be seeing you here in the next coming, probably one of the other events coming up. So definitely be looking forward to that, guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Johnny.
Yeah, hang tight, and I'll close this out really fast.
Sure.
There you have it, cool kids. Hey, listen, DaveKaufmanSpeaks.com. You can actually pull him up on social media, right? David Kauffman, I think is how I found him. David. I call him Dave. I think he's got DaveKaufmanSpeaks.com. I'll tag it here in just a little bit at the end of this episode. I'll get this out to all of you guys. So if you guys are listening to us on Spotify, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. If you're watching us on YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever it is that you're watching us, definitely let's connect. JohnnyQuan.com. And if you know somebody that you want to have here on the podcast, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me. We're starting to book our late August and early September guest here on the Fun Life community. Let's connect, guys. Let's show people how to really get out there and faith their fears, because everyone's got a story to tell. And I can't wait to hear yours. Adios.